Marta is founder of StoryHub. It's a Latvian startup. StoryHub focuses on development of projects with added social value in a field of interactive and audiovisual media. And one of their most known productions is the first ever metal opera in Latvia.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Good morning. I'm very happy to be here. And today I'm representing the storytellers, developers of the content. And the title of my presentation says that I'm going to talk about the challenges, but of course I'm also going to talk about the opportunities that the new digital age has opened for us. And just a little bit about myself and why I got into the new forms of storytelling. I've been working in creative industries for the past 15 years now, mostly in film production, as a film producer, as a marketing manager, but also a lot in event management and music management. And it was already a while ago, I noticed that it's getting more and more difficult to attach audiences to the content. And just a quick question for you, when was the last time when you watched a documentary in a film theater? Can you remember that? Last week, yeah. Probably Riga if helped to do that, but as we see, not too many people, to say the least. So you can imagine how hard my life got when I realized that it's just like we have a small market and even the smaller part who actually comes and consumes the content in a traditional way. And it was in 2011 when I lived in the US for a while. I attended the Independent Film Week in New York, and that's when I first heard about the interactive storytelling, about the multi-platform storytelling, and at that point I really thought that, hey, this is the solution. This is the way how we should change the storytelling in the future. Of course, during the years I have realized that that's not always the answer, but oftentimes it can really be helpful to think about not creating a content in one platform, not creating content in a one way, but to look in a broader perspective. So in 2016 I established StoryHub, and our goal is to bring together the different worlds, not only the traditional form of storytellers, but also game developers, programmers, and so on and so on. Just a little bit about the also circumstances that we face, and we already have discussed today the attention span and the difficulties to maintain the attention of the audience. And one more aspect that I want to mention is that there's not only the difficulty of us to maintain attention to the specific piece of content, but it's the reality that we switch from screens to screens, from channel to channel all the time. And this one research shows that actually we do that as often as every 20 seconds. So if you would just remember what you did this morning, what kind of channels have you already used? I would imagine that you already were in all your social media networks, then probably your email, probably news sites, maybe you watched a little bit of TV while having breakfast or listened to radio. So many information has already been delivered only this morning, just a couple of hours. So we as storytellers are also faced with this challenge, how we can deliver a content if we know that most probably the audience will switch very soon from what we are delivering to them. Also, this is just research that I found about the US, but I'm sure that it's very similar also here in Europe. The amount of content that we are using, actually, it's up to 9 hours of entertainment every day for a teenager in America. So, but what is interesting in this perspective is that about 40% of that is a passive consumption. And in general, it's nothing like, there's nothing bad about passive consumption, like we all watch TV on our couches and we don't want to be disturbed, and like we scroll our Facebook. But when it comes to your brand, to trying to get audience attached to delivering a content, and the moment when you actually want the audience to remember what you have delivered, then the passive engagement maybe is not working that well anymore. And you have to think about how to actively engage your audience, and just delivering and just giving information can be, let's say, a basic level, but you have to move on to give something more. And actually, it's nothing new. Already in 1946, Dale came up with this cone of experience. This was more related to audiovisual media, but in general, it applies to all the content. So the idea is that if you present the content in one mode, it's just there's a less opportunity that the audience will understand it, that they will remember it. So if you add more mediums, the more you add, then the higher the possibility that actually they will engage, and the best results come up when you ask the audience to participate, when you have that participation part, and the ultimate level goes when you teach someone something. So then you actually remember the best what you have to say. And also nowadays when developing a content, and also today when I have to work with quite different projects, I always try to remember what can I add, what medium I can add, so that the audience just understands it better. And also recent research shows that it's true, just to give various modes, and it will just give you a better result. Of course, we can look to the ways how we develop the connection with the audience in various aspects. We can have the traditional marketing funnel or communication funnel, how we engage with the audience and how we actually lead them to actual purchases. This is the approach that I like to just use and think about when developing content, that there's always this ground level of giving knowledge, of informing, and it's a good way to communicate, of course, with your audience. But if you want to engage with them, if you want to have a long-lasting relationship, to stay on the ground level and just delivering information so that they feel informed, it's just not enough. You have to go further. You have to give them tools so they can learn, they can actually do something with that afterwards. And of course, the best way is to create a relationship where you are in two equal positions and you are actually communicating and having a relationship with each other. Okay, so from my perspective as a content developer, I bring all these, I try to bring all these worlds together, and the traditional audiovisual world with virtual reality, augmented reality, also gaming aspects, multimedia world. And of course, it doesn't mean that always I will have a content that includes everything of that, but to just open opportunities and also bring people together, because in Latvia, one of the problems that we have is that people just live in the separate spaces. Like we would have the traditional filmmakers that just don't know anything about virtual reality still. They haven't talked to the game developer yet. So my role as a producer is to bring these people together so that they see that, oh, okay, actually we have something to talk about. We can create something together so that we can get the audience and so that they actually consume what we have. Of course, there's also some challenges that these authors face. Like one of the biggest challenges, who is the author of the story? And to just, let's say, to understand that maybe you as a director or as a script writer, you are not the only author anymore. It's not so easy for traditional content developers. Yeah, there is a new perspective, new approach to collaboration with your audience. You have to trust them. And for example, this Netflix content, the shortest version of it, it's about 18 minutes, but the user can go up to, I don't know, till the computer breaks. It's just you never know, like how long it will take for the user to engage with it. So you have to be ready that yeah, we live in very different let's say spectrums. We have very different approaches to content. So now I just want to share some examples that we've done in recent years and how we have added that digital or technology aspect to the content. And it's not only about let's say social media and what's happening in the digital world, but also just adding technology to the also, for example, events. The first example is from one documentary. Probably the Latvian audience knows who this personality is, the scientist Viačeslavs Kašķējevs. We did a documentary about him in 2016, and the primary audience for this documentary was secondary school students, also university students. In the beginning, when we tried to show the documentary in schools, we noticed that the attention span for children is really, really short. Like after 5 minutes, they start just taking their phones out, engaging with other activities. They try to, they just start talking with each other. And of course, the personality of Vyacheslav, he's like super vivid and talks super quick, and there's a lot of information that he is giving, and it's not that easy to follow him. So it was like the added challenge to that. But I realized that I have to do something about it, because the children they didn't get the documentary. So what I did, I used a very simple tool that's available to all teachers. It's called CALEIDOSCOPE, and I created a very simple game what they could actually play online while watching a movie, and they could see live results also from other peers. They could divide in teams even. So and then I made this process more engaging, and instead of just taking the phone out and scrolling on Instagram, they took the phone out and engaged with the content of the movie. So, and the results were really, really better. I saw that afterwards we had much more, much better discussions about film. Suddenly they had questions about film. They were ready to talk about the content. Actually, they have watched before. It wasn't like that. They just they were on their screens and that was it. Another example was with newspaper Diena. They had annual awards for culture for quite many years. They didn't do that this year. I don't know why, but hopefully they will do it again in the future. But the last time they did, usually what they did was that they just had this event, awards ceremony, where they congratulated the winners of the award. But when we collaborated, we came up with this idea of first interactive edition of Diena. So what did it really mean? Also, using a very simple tool as a QR code, we filmed interviews with the recipients of the award, and also included this QR code in the newspaper. And the results were really good. People really engaged with the content. We also published on StratCom these videos. Also, of course, they used this content on their social media networks. So audience really appreciated that they had this good quality content of interviews. It was also a challenge for the journalists, because it was the first time they actually had to do interviews while being on camera, and it was very nice to see all over journalist superstars being super stressful about the first experience, how am I going to look in the camera and how am I going to talk. So also a challenge for them, so that was very nice. Another example comes from last year. We are working now with State Integration Foundation on a bigger campaign. It's like a 5-year project about diversity, but last year was dedicated specifically to refugees, and we did this exhibition, interactive exhibition, using augmented reality. And why we did that, the audience of this exhibition and the audience of the project in general is youth, so young people. And you can imagine if we would just film interviews with refugees, post them on Facebook, then probably we could pay, I don't know, 20 euros and get some statistics to show the foundation that we have checked and done and gotten some audience. But in reality, there wouldn't be actually engaged people with the content. So we came up with this idea of exhibition where actually young people would go, and we did this in Gertrude Street Theatre, which is a place where young people go anyway to just watch theatre shows. So we used the fact that they will be there already, and they will have time before the show or maybe after the show, and they could just spend 10-15 minutes exploring these topics. And we had illustrations by artist Ieva Kauliņa, and then we added with augmented reality, we added videos, we added some facts, some information about the situation in this in Latvia and in general in Europe. And really, again, afterwards, I saw that, of course, we also saw the statistics of how many scans there are, but what was very fulfilling for me, I really had very good conversations with young people, and they really got engaged into this topic. Another example is from the festival Riga, which happens every year here, and in recent years we have had also some objects there, and one was this 3D and augmented reality experience, The Dreamer, and what we had there was a 5 minutes film, the 3D film about the dream, where you could actually like get into the mind of one person and experience the dream. But what was the challenge, and this is just example of how you can also look to the event production, let's say. The challenge was that the film was available only for 15 to 20 people at the same time, because like there was just like limited number of glasses, but also just limited space, so you can just watch the film. So what happened? We had a very long line. Those who are from Latvia know what happens during Riga. There are thousands of people that go from one object to another, and then suddenly there's a place like where only like 15 people can watch a movie. So we added this augmented reality content while they were standing in line. So again, there were illustrations. We filmed or recording audios about the craziest people's dreams, and while standing in line, people could enjoy and watch other stories. And as we talked with people who attended, like no one complained about spending those 30 minutes while waiting. Like everyone really liked the content, and we were super happy that like we got solved the problem, because that was something that we were stressed about, that it might happen. Another example was from last year. We did this interactive audio installation. So again, a bit different approach. Last year it was also 100 years of Latvia, and it was made by architect Didis Jaunzems. And what we did was that, if you just look at the object, it just looks as an abstract object, but in reality it was interactive audio object. So what happened when audience went inside the project, the louder you sang or the louder you clapped your hands, the object started to respond, like giving sounds back. And it was so much fun to see how the audience engaged with that, and especially like this festival happened during the celebration of 100 years. So suddenly you see people who don't know each other, they come together, there are 50 people inside, and like everyone is screaming or just like singing a song, and just trying to get that object to respond. So just a simple thing that we added, but it gave a totally different emotion and perspective to the experience. Another example from last year from Riga Motor Museum, we had this exhibition called Legend About the Iron Knight. It was about an armored car from the First World War, and the challenge here was that actually we were given just a stack of very, 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 very old parts of car that didn't look too well, and they didn't have information. So our task was to develop a whole story from zero and to create exhibition out of that. And we used holographic projections to create and simulate how did this car look like and what were the circumstances the car experienced during this whole life journey. I have actually a video we can watch. We added both digital technologies, but also interactivity in like a more traditional way. There would be like a cupboards or this big wheel, and children really enjoyed and also saw the exhibition as experience. And again, like about delivering the content, one way could be to go the traditional way and to create exhibition with just like, I don't know, banners of information, just old photos, but we try to do it in a different way. And the last example will be from just just launched last month this project called Poetry Tents, and it was made for Latvijas Skolas, which is a program financed by State Culture Capital Foundation, but also we got supported by municipality of Riga. And the idea here was that we talked with many teachers of literature, and they told us that they have difficulty to engage children in and try them to just become more to engage their imagination, let's say, to create their, raise their imagination, level of imagination. They have difficulty to do that. They see things in a certain way, and it's difficult for them to see that things can be done in other ways. And what we did was we took 5 poems from Latvian poetry. Then we invited 5 artists who interpreted these poems in a very different styles. We had the graffiti artist, more traditional, let's say, artist, than photographer. And then, with the help of augmented reality, we also made animations and other types of content that you could see when using mobile phone and tablet. And I also have a short video. We can just watch how did it look like. Had also theater performance that was like in the launch event, and also like additional medium. But yeah, this project just showed how excited the children became, and suddenly like they were super interested into poetry and listening to it, and yeah, exploring the authors. And we really hope that it will go on, and we will next year we will go to schools in Latvia and present this. And to finish, just last week we had Riga If Goes VR, the 2nd edition, in collaboration with the Riga International Film Festival, and we are doing it already the 2nd year. And the idea is to bring together audiovisual filmmakers, game developers, programmers, and to create a content for education. And at the end of the event, it was a seminar and a 24 hours hackathon. We actually had 6 prototypes. The winner was the product for Society of Autism of Latvia, that the solution that helps to adapt to different environments. So we are really happy that this has been going on in recent years, and we really see that also the content developers, they come together and they see that there is a point of doing that, and there is a meaning behind these works. So hopefully we'll continue that next year. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'll be happy to meet you afterwards also. And yeah, let's go back to you, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you.